Hi everyone, welcome to GeneRally 2's July update, and the big thing here is a GeneRally 1 track importer. So I'm going to pop myself into the game. Let's add in a few AI drivers, no more than 5, because if there's more than 6 cars involved in a game, you can't play with the GeneRally 1 tracks yet. And I'll get onto how you can potentially get around some of that. And when you get into selecting your tracks, over on here you'll now see tracks made for GeneRally 1 that you can load into GeneRally 2. It comes up with a note that tells you that it might be a bit dodgy, and to be fair, I have had some game crashes whilst trying to do some of this video beforehand and playing some of these tracks. 5 tracks have been copied across from the original game from Tuama before, but we've also got Juka and Hanu's original old tracks from the original game. So if I put in LBRY and Bytes, Stu Gutford for example, maybe a little bit of Pargy and Snoogie maybe? Actually no, let's go Zupong. And then you've got the World Tour tracks from, again, plenty of other different places here too. So if I just stick in, oh I don't know, let's do Japan and Italy. That feels like a 7-track extravaganza for us to be getting on with. I'll just do 4 laps in each, 50%, blah, 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 blah. The way how you pull in all of these tracks though, so inside your Steam apps folder on your PC, there'll be a common folder, then a GeneRally 2 folder, and inside that will be GR1 tracks as a folder. Copy and paste any of the tracks that you've got from your previous GeneRally 1 installations into there. You can have folders inside, as you can see here, and they'll just magically pull through the next time that you start the game. So it's a really simple copy and paste job, and you get everything that you wanted from before. So let's see how this plays out. Let's hope this time around nothing crashes particularly, but the tracks are recreated in all of their glory with the GeneRally 2 kind of physics engine, which isn't very far away from GeneRally 1 to be perfectly honest. And it just brings so much potential to GeneRally 2, because all of a sudden you've now got like 15 20 years nearly of GeneRally tracks at your disposal that you can now download and import in, making this go from what was like a 10 or 20 track thing to a 200 track thing on the Steam Workshop to now thousands of tracks. And suddenly the price point of all of this makes so much more sense, because you'll see once I've played some of these races, just so that you can see that this definitely works and is all kosher and good. There's potential here for all of these tracks to be GeneRally 2'd, I guess is the best way that I could describe it. But it is like a fresh piece of nostalgia. The AI lines, which are still being worked out in GeneRally 2, do cause, as you can see, some interesting little flips here for old GeneRally 1 tracks. And it's mainly, now that I've got used to track building a little bit more, I can see why like the cars flip around a little bit, and it's because you have much more control over the AI nodes in GeneRally 2, which will make for a better experience once it's all smoothed out. But because you can tweak the direction of each node, if it's not perfectly smooth, the AI cars jank slightly to realign themselves with the inner and outer and centre lines of where the AI are supposedly driving. So let's see how we go. I have run into several tracks that will just bug crash to desktop, not whilst racing, but when they cross the finish line. It's very odd. So it feels like the actual track itself is running fine, but there might be just something slightly odd with the way how the finishing kind of checkpointy thing maybe might be causing an issue. I'm not sure. But it's so good to see all of this goodness just brought back in again from a nostalgia perspective, but also from a league perspective potentially. Oh, there's so much that could now just magically appear from GeneRally 2 with this new awesomeness put into play. Now you'd have seen Pargy had an update on my top tracks for June for GeneRally 2. So you'll be able to do a bit of a side-by-side comparison for what the original was like versus what the remixed version is that the person did put on the Steam Workshop. I also need to put more of those corner cut bumps into my tracks because I can't help it. I just want to straight line everything. Clearly having a track limit drama. Boink. Deserved that, to be honest. Yep, and that dropped me to 4th. Dirty. Okay, do 3 more races and see how we get on. So here we've got sand and gravel. I can't remember. It feels like sand is potentially much more grippier / slow you downy compared to GeneRally 1. I can't tell. It's been a while. I always enjoyed this circuit because of the gradient in all the different corners. I'm such a gradient whore when it comes to GeneRally 2. I can't help it. Ah, we've gone wide. Oh, did we win? Yes, we did. Nice. But that shows you that AI lines can work quite well and nicely. And then here's 2 tracks from the World Tour. So this is Japan. Again, I don't think this World Tour collection was part of the very first run through of GeneRally's release, but if you download GeneRally 1 now, it comes with this track pack alongside the old tracks. So that gives you 32 tracks, 16 in each batch, that are really well made, put together. The AI lines are sneaky and well done. And the pit lanes aren't going to be ridiculous either, so works really well. Okay, last one. Please don't crash, please don't crash. Italia. Oh, this has got a giant shelf in the middle of it, hasn't it? I remember this one. Ah. There we go. So AI lines may be a problem with this one specifically. It's probably got a bit of crossover maybe. Yeah, you can see how it's pulling them into the hay bales. But the beauty of this versus the original game is that you've got a reset spawner or respawning point. So it's the tiny quality of life features that works very well with this game. Okay. Over the line we go. Pew. So yeah, as you can see, it works quite nicely. So just make sure that you drag them into the correct folder for it to work quite nicely. However, this isn't just it for GeneRally 1 tracks in terms of playing them. You can also import them into the track editor to improve them. Now, I don't know if I'd be capable of improving these tracks, to be quite frank, but the whole point of it is that obviously these tracks are all set up for GeneRally 1 parameters. So they all have just 6 car slots, for example. It might mean that sometimes the AI line, as it translates to the new game, doesn't quite line up, a bit like what we saw with Italy. So up on the top here, you'll see this new import in track from GeneRally 1. So it takes me to there. If I go to World Tour and if I imported Italy here, we'll just import it in. So here you can see the track itself, and like I can spot the problem basically with how this line. Now this would have worked quite nicely for the first game. Look at how nice and smooth all of that is. What you'd need to do basically is carve out the AI line and go again basically, because you'd need to kind of erase the AI line and get going. But can you see how that red line just round here, that's why they were all smashing into the hay bales, and the yellow line, to be fair, is the more prominent one too. So what you do is erase that AI line, go again, but also see you've got slot 7 and 8 down here. You could add that into the game itself, and then suddenly you've got an 8-car grid that you can then put into the Steam Workshop, and suddenly the world track from Italy is now GeneRally 2 ready, I would say. But you can do this with all of the different tracks to import them in. Let's take a look at Indonesia. That looks quite Sepang-ish to me. But again, you would go and sort all of that out as you go. And the same with the old tracks too. So if we was to dive into, I don't know, Takran, for example, you've got the same thing there. So having this all enabled so that you could then sort out the AI lines, the pit lines, add in 7 and 8, and potentially, if you wanted to, update some of the different options here as well. Because remember, with GeneRally 2, we now have the ability to have different examples of like stands, for example. So you can have one with a roof or without a roof. If you've got an office block here, you can have different horizontal or vertical windows now, and that's all being kind of pulled out as you go. So you can tart it up a little bit too. Although I personally really like the lo-fi GeneRally 1 aesthetic. So yeah, superb update. I'll be back towards the end of the month with my favourite tracks that have been uploaded onto the Steam Workshop for July. But this is a big thumbs up from me and a huge, huge, huge milestone step forward for GeneRally 2.